There's no other way I can do this video. Maybe I could have my girlfriend do it. Nah. Oh, someone has to do it. Might as well be me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, GamerK. And I'm dreading this. I really am dreading this. What should have been a very, very easy push from TV series to a video game should have been, like I said, a very easy job to do. Sadly, the people at the Game Factory thought, you know what? Let's try the best we can to sneak in some problems for gamers. I mean, young gamers who played this when it first came out probably didn't notice any issues. Older fans of Code Lyoko probably did notice. And I'm one of those fans who, in the beginning of the game, I didn't see any problems. Now, as I watched my girlfriend replay it, there are a lot of issues. So, let's virtualize into this digital mess that is Code Lyoko Quest for Infinity. Now, starting off this topic is something very simple. This game was for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, or the Wii. I got mine for the Wii because I thought it would be the most fun. And it was. The first time I played it, and as I kept playing it, I remember why I only played it the once. This game has it's got good concept. It takes place the beginning of Season 4 and plays onwards. I wish it would have done its own thing and not played off Season 4, which it kind of does. I mean, not stylistically. You can be in the real world, but only for a good couple of minutes before you go right back to Lyoko. So, you talk to the non-playable characters, some funny stuff happens, and then you go to the factory, and, Xana's attacking. We don't get to see this stuff. We don't get to hear about it. It's Xana's attacking, and that's it. There's no extra story in any of the levels. And that wouldn't bother me as much, except in the game. There are new cutscenes added when you're in Lyoko. I mean, they're not very long cutscenes, but they're still cutscenes overall. So I'm thinking, why didn't they just do a new thing with after Season 4 and, Xana's back and new and improved monsters and all that. And we get to see the problems and see some story development for the characters. I mean, more development. I think that would have been better instead of what they did here. Now let's dive into this game on a more analyzing scale. So, clocking in, Quest for Infinity is 6.5 hours long, which honestly for a Wii game like this is pretty good. I mean, any longer would be pushing it, any shorter would be outrageous. Now, you do play as the 4 Lyoko warriors, Ulrich, Odd, Yumi, and Aelita, and they all have their own special abilities, their own combat style, which is good, except the main female character, Aelita, is practically pointless. And she's pretty much the main female from the beginning. And for those of you who know that, you're probably shaking your head because her energy field attack takes a little bit long to fully charge in order to be fully effective. If you don't, you're just pressing the button and she's throwing like softballs at children playing baseball. That's what it feels like, because they don't do any real damage unless you upgrade. Unless you do hold the button, and she does the whole full blast, but every time she's hit, it drastically stops it. So unless you're good at dodging and charging up, it's going to be... And she doesn't do anything cool. I had a DS version of Code Lyoko, and to deactivate a tower, you had to do a puzzle game. There's nothing like that here. You just fight and that's it. The other character, although she does create platforms for you to walk on, she does have her angel wings to fly, which is okay, except most of that's just to get bonus items. I'll get to those in a bit. Ulrich, on the other hand, his fighting style is pretty the same. You know, you hold the B button to swing the Wii remote to use his sword attacks, which is very fun. It makes you feel like you're actually doing the sword movements. And they do a good couple combos with it. You can use his triplicate ability in order to damage enemies while being far away. His ability to the only extra ability he gets in the game is the ability to. So there's these virtual walls where you will have to be stopped. You will have to wait for the icon to glow and then strike, wait, and then strike. So it's basically a timed Zangetsu attack, kind of. And it's fun, but it dies down very quickly. Yumi has her fan attacks, and, you know, you can lock on to a numerous amount of enemies and then throw multiple fans once you upgrade more. She has her levitating ability, which is used to levitate obstacles, levitate enemies even. You can even levitate enemies, move them to the edge of the field, and drop them into the digital sea, which honestly is a heck of a lot of fun if you're not being swarmed by enemies. And she also has this tightrope walking thing where you need to be balanced. Why are you doing this in video games? L.A. Noire had that. The Sherlock Holmes games had that. This had that. Why? Why are you giving us balancing acts? This isn't a circus game. And Odd, my favorite character, the comic relief, his laser arrows do a good amount of job, and you don't have to press the button in order to fire them. You can just hold it and it will rapid fire, and there's no reload. His abilities to slow down time late in the game are okay. You don't use them outside of puzzles. I mean, if you do, kudos. And his abilities to wall climb is okay, I guess. It's there to progress through the level. So, yeah, Aelita is the worst character in it, being the main character, though. It's just a missed opportunity to do a puzzle mini-game in the game, which sucks. The skid, the submarine missions are the same. All you do is, it doesn't matter who you're piloting, you got the exact same weapons, exact same everything, and all you do is just, when the water goes red, kill the enemies, which includes congers, sharks, calamars, and the mantas. Why aren't the mantas in the levels? They're able to be in the levels. Oh, no, wait, they are. Are they? Yeah, never mind. They are. They just aren't as effective, which is a shame. So, yeah, all you do is just move the controller to move your sub, dodging pillars and shooting enemies, and until you're done. I hate those levels because it makes you feel more like you're in a rail shooter, just waiting for the level to end. There's no excitement added to it. Now, the game, as I'm getting a little critical, there are some good things that appear in the game, such as the environments. Each sector is done beautifully and respectfully for the series. The desert area is very bright and very dry. There's not much to do in there. Okay, yeah, it's basically every level's the same as it is in the show. You don't really have to do much. But the levels are done very respectfully and very detailed. Some of them have in each level you will after you beat the game, you can go back as you've upgraded and gained new abilities. You can go back to previous episodes and do extra stuff, like find bonus material, more points in order to upgrade, which once you beat the game, it really doesn't matter. So it's kind of like one of those games where after you get all the abilities you go back to previous levels to get all that hidden stuff. That's pretty much what it is. Let's see. What else can I talk about in this game? Well, the enemies are surprisingly very... they all act like they do in the show. The Cankerlots swarm you as many of them as possible. And the enemies are actually... The AI in the game is strangely intelligent, believe it or not. They follow you if you don't get out of the area. They will attack you constantly. They don't just wait for you to move. They fire at you repeatedly. The tarantulas fire mercilessly on you. Like Cuba Gooding Jr. in Battleship. Show me the money! Don't know why I did that joke. I don't know. And in a previous video, like a long time ago, like months ago, I said I hate repaint enemies because you don't do anything. However, in this game, they do something completely different. They take certain enemies, they repaint them, and they give them new abilities, like the Kamikaze Cankerlots, which do their best to penguin waddle to you in order to blow up. The energy field, tarantulas, can only be attacked once you parry one of their laser attacks and just sends it back to them to destroy their shield. The Mega Tank, a new version of the Mega Tank, shoots a beam. Normally it goes straight like this, but they send like a wave, so you have to jump over it. The Mega Tanks in this game are stupid as all hell because they will try to steamroll you. If you dodge them, you can have them literally fall over the edge and kill themselves. Huh? Well, it happens a lot in the show, so why not, right? Not only that, but they do add 2 new types of enemies. The insectors, not the ones from Yu-Gi-Oh! These came first, which are like the Hornets, but fire more often and shoot bombs at you and release this toxic pool that will drain your energy. And the Volcanoids, which are like massive behemoths on 2 giant legs, and they have energy shields, and they will shoot a very powerful blast at you. And I'll get to those, explaining those ones in a minute. Now, let's see. I'm giving a lot of praise to this game, despite me commenting that it has some problems. Oh, wait a minute. They do. I'll get to it right now. Let's see. I have my notes here. Okay. Terrible camera angles engulf the game. As you're playing through the game, like as you progress through each level, the camera will oddly rotate into a very odd, like it will never go a bird's eye view, but it will always go, it will always, like let me show you this. Imagine in my review, if this starts happening as I'm talking to you. As I'm talking, the camera will oddly move as I'm talking. You can't really see what's going on anywhere else, but that's what's happening in this game. The entire game is like this, and it's not optional. You cannot have camera angles just weirdly happening as you progress through the game, because you gotta be precise when you're moving because controls in the game are very finicky. If you move the joystick a smidge too much as you're jumping, you will literally jump yourself off an edge when you meant to go straight. That's the thing with the camera angles. The controller doesn't parry with the perspective you're in. So you got to remember where to go. Straight, left, right, because, oh my God, remembering watching my girlfriend play this, because constantly fall constantly falling because of the bad camera angle and the finicky control of how it's like it's on a hair trigger. Like, she'll be walking through platforms, the camera will move, she'll keep going, and then she'll accidentally go off the platform through no fault of her own, just from the awful camera angles. It sucks. Also, the platforming is a freaking joke. Half the time, it's literally a test to see how long you can fail before you throw a remote at the TV. Let's see. Yeah, the lighting is barely existent. Like in the new volcano sector. Yes, I know it's a volcano. It's supposed to be red and and dark. But there's nothing you can do. You can barely see where you're walking. Because the terrain is so pitch black and the background is so pitch black, it all muddies together. It's like a terrible landscape painting that you can barely see the foreground from the background. And the platforming parts in the volcano area are the worst. Because you can barely see them. So you don't know if you're supposed to go straight or turn a little bit. It just sucks. Every part of the platforming section in the volcano area is hindered because of its poor lighting. I literally had to push my face almost to the TV in order to see where we were going, just to be sure. And also, you can literally fall off the terrain because invisible walls don't exist in this game, which is somewhat of a bad thing, because you will literally fall off if you don't know where you're going. Like, you can walk and turn and you'll fall off. This game, yes, every single level in the game you are in a floating island, but you will constantly wish you were on actual ground because of how many times you will drop. Oh my god, what doesn't suck in this game? The detail in the game is good, but the gameplay half the time feels like you need instructions, because in this vast world where there are sections in the game that you need to go to and some that you can come back to later, there's no mini-map. You have no reference of where anything is or where to go next, because where most games put what's the word for it? A progression bar for where you need to go next. You need to literally figure it out yourself, which is frustrating. Very frustrating. However, and in the game, there are challenges for you to progress through each level. Such as hitting switches in a certain order, taking out enemies in certain locations. Oh, one thing I want to go back to, Alita's other ability is to petrify enemies. So, you will literally freeze them in a block of ice, then you jump on them in order to progress. So, think about Spyro's ice breath in Frozen Altars in Year of the Dragon. Something like that, except, fun. I'm giving this game a lot of mixed impacts. Some of the stuff is real good, some of the stuff is frustrating beyond all belief. But luckily, for each challenge, and there is no game over section. No game overs in this game. Rather, if you die, which you will a lot, the checkpoints come before each challenge and after each challenge. So once you complete a challenge via puzzles, battles, platforming, the platforming is the worst I've ever seen in any video game. The checkpoints are placed smartly and fairly throughout the game. So even if you had this terrible puzzle or this platforming. Again, this is the worst platforming I've ever seen in a video game. My girlfriend was so sick of it. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to show her a platforming game ever again. Ever. That's how bad it was. I'm not doing it anymore. I mean, I'm not going to ever show her a video game anymore. I'm just going to make sure there's no irritating platform sections because, yeah, I hate them just as much as she does. Okay, what else in this game have I not discussed? Oh, right. Some of the enemies require specific actions in order to defeat, such as the metal creepers can only be destroyed by Ulrich, which I'm not that mad about. Like I said, the shield tarantulas that you need to parry their attack, which honestly isn't that bad. It's like it's a good concept to have certain enemies only be defeated by certain restrictions or by certain characters, which I'm not mad at. Oh, here we go. The bosses in the game are by far the most creative thing in this game. There are 5 bosses for each level, not including Sector 5. They come in, and the best thing about them is you can only use certain Lyoko warriors against them. I mean, during the main game. I mean, like, the mountain district, the mountain sector, you can only use Ulrich and Odd, which you won't even you will only use Ulrich for a little bit in the fight. The desert one, you'll use Ulrich, Yumi, and Aelita. The ice one, you'll use Ulrich, Odd, and Aelita. Am I forgetting one? The forest one, you'll use Yumi, Odd, and Aelita. Lava one, you'll use Aelita and Odd. You will barely use Aelita for any of these boss battles because the other characters do it just fine. I just wish this game desperately needed a section just for her to make her feel important in the game because you only play her once in a while just for variety. Like, if they had puzzle areas that only she could do, that would have given this game a little bit more edge and definitely bring up basically the best, one of my favorite characters in the show. Give her something to do in this game other than just be a cheerleader half the time. And the boss battles, honestly, they're pretty challenging. It will take you a while to get the patterns of their attacks in order to defeat them. And my favorite one is the desert boss battle, which it's by far my favorite in design and execution of how to defeat it. Now, like I said, there's really nothing much to do in this game except for going to Lyoko and doing all the missions. There's literally nothing else to do except you can go into a spot in the, not in Lyoko, but at the school. I'm calling it that because I have no freaking clue what else to call it. Where the game did a contest, so for fans to draw their own monster ideas, and the winner would get put in the game. And the winner was the Volcanoid. So whoever created that, kudos to you. You're probably my age by now, or a little younger, depending on when you watched Code Lyoko. But yeah, this was a cool aspect. They had so many fan arts send in, and so many people wanted to put their monster in the game. I think it was a cool idea for them to put that as a bonus feature, to see all of the fans and their creations. That's a good way to connect with your fans, by putting their artwork in your game. Good on you, Code Lyoko Quest for Infinity. Sadly, it does nothing for the gameplay. So yeah, it doesn't really build on a franchise. It just repurposes Season 4 for its story, which doesn't really do anything. You go to Lyoko, you go to Sector 5, you find the replicas, you defeat the bosses, you destroy it. Pretty cut and, pretty basic for a game like this, which should have been so much better. So, gameplay, combat isn't as bad. The enemies are beautifully animated. The bosses are original and fun, and you don't feel like you have to do the same thing to defeat the same boss, which is very good in a game like this. However, terrible camera. The camera angles screw you over. Platforming is very tedious and rage-inducing. The volcano sector, which was supposed to be one of the coolest levels in the game, turned out to be a real hindrance for gamers. And the fact that there is nothing else to do in this game other than play through the story and collect the extra stuff at the end is a from being one of my favorite series. High expectations were done, but because of all this stuff, it's gone down a good number of levels. So, at the end of this review, so much was encoded, but a lot of bugs were definitely done in this game. Now, not to say that it's buggy. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't have bugs in it. Nothing will cheat you. The game is a fun game for a Code Lyoko fan, but for the average gamer, it's not for you. That's why it's a recommendation for Code Lyoko fans who still have their Wii, if any do. But for me, Code Lyoko Quest for Infinity gets a final verdict. I was going to give it a 9 out of 10 originally, a 9 when I first played the game. But this is when I was like maybe 12 or 13. But now that I'm older and wiser of the problems in video games, I can't recommend this to everyone. I can't give it a good rating. It is a 6 out of 10. It's an average game of a TV series. It's a great series, though, so I highly recommend the TV show for anyone who's interested. It's very mature for its audience. It has some mature humor, some mature situations. Not too mature that parents should worry. It's a fun adventure series. It's a fun fantasy adventure series for anyone. So, the show I can definitely recommend. This game, well, at least it's not Code Lyoko Evolution, so that's a plus. It's not that. Thank you for, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me. I might do an extra video next week, since May has a 5th week. But I might take a hiatus to get everything ready for June's videos. Coming up next time on the Game Hub, they were coded to be bad, but did they have to be this bad? Join me as I go through my worst picks of the worst villains ever created in the digital world. This is GamerK, logging out.